Yo, welcome back to the house. We are back in the NBA coverage, the thick of it, into the thick of it. Sorry for that. We are back, House 755 podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your podcast host, Noah Marano. If you're joining us on TikTok, I appreciate it. If you're joining us on YouTube, I appreciate it. If you're joining us on a random Instagram clip on a Tuesday evening, thank you. I appreciate it. I am back again with my co-host and producer as always. I believe he brought me my $1,400 for my new Nintendo Switch 2. I believe too he's a recent assistant coach of one Tom Thibodeau. So maybe not on the team anymore. We have Jazz McSnappy in the house. How are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, I've been saying it all playoffs long. Pacers in the finals. So I just want to say I've been here since day one.
I couldn't even get through that with a straight face. That's not what I thought.
A lot of people have doubted them. I have not been one.
Not Jazz. not Jazz over here, baby.
Nope.
So you are going to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, I assume, right? You're going to cock over the $1,700 it takes to buy it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you're saying you don't want to pay $1,400 for the Nintendo Switch 2 and
the $200.
an additional $140 for every game you're going to receive. You don't want to do that?
No.
Okay. I really thought we could play it together here on the pod.
Nope.
Okay, never mind.
Not even
recent NBA news. We have a Thunder Pacers finals.
What?
Whoa. Small markets. David Stern rolling in his grave. It's really fun. Really fun. Yeah, honestly, like general reaction of what I've seen from the finals matchup that we're getting is nobody's really panicking because I think all basketball fans know this should be a very exciting, interesting series.
For sure.
Because of how these teams kind of mirror each other. And just because of the roads that these two teams took to get to the finals. So let's jump right into it. What's your pick? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do your pick yet.
No. I was coming in hot.
Whoa, did you know coins in other countries are magnetic?
I did not.
Just found that out.
There we go. The more you know.
This is a spastastic pod. We're doing great here tonight. No, I want to get into a couple things regarding the matchup. So obviously, Thunder opened as a massive favorite. One of 5 largest favorites ever for an NBA's final matchup.
Dang, that's so disrespectful.
It's not great for the Pacers historically, numbers-wise speaking. Of these matchups, only one is won. Can you guess which one?
Of what?
Of the matchups that have had as large a spread as this one has had.
Oh.
Can you guess what is the one underdog who has pulled off the upset?
The Cavs.
No, that's close. They actually were not that much of an underdog.
Interesting.
As you might think. 0-4 Pistons. Over the Pacers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Lakers.
Weren't they a 7th seed? They were a low seed.
They weren't a super low seed, but they were not favorites at all. It was not as wide of a gap as this, but it was pretty close. So history is not on the Pacers side. That being said, they haven't really given a damn this entire playoffs. They've taken out some juggernauts of the game.
Facts.
Some crazy teams.
Facts.
And you know what? They're just a damn good team.
Facts.
They're exciting to watch.
Facts.
My only thing before I throw it over to you. Is I just worry that the Thunder are everything the Pacers are, but just better.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you thinking heading into this matchup with these two teams? What are you seeing? Give us some of your insight.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've been seeing is that, yes, that Oklahoma, we're just the same team except more star power. But what I have said it on previous episodes, and it was thoroughly disproven, was that, listen, the New York Knicks defense is no joke. And then Indiana went and made it look like a joke. So I understand OKC's defense is really, really good. It is really, really good. I love watching it.
It's leagues better than the Knicks defense was, for sure.
I wouldn't say leagues better. It is better.
It was the number 1 defense by far. And the Knicks defense was not even top 10 after the year shaped out.
But in the playoffs, the Knicks were actually playing exceptional defense.
Yeah, better. Better defense than they were.
And OKC barely made it out of Denver. One of the worst defensive teams. Was one of the worst defensive teams in the playoffs. I think
Jokic provided them a weird matchup.
That's fair.
As one of the players.
Did kind of handle Minnesota, fairly quickly, which we'll get into. But all that to say is it doesn't matter how good your defense is. If you can't get them in a half-court setting, it does not matter. My point being, Knicks are playing exceptionally good defense in the half-court setting, but the Indiana never really kind of let it, them slow down to the point where they're running half-court offense. They were just running. And the Knicks tried everything to stop it. Were not able to really kind of stop it. Slowed it down a little bit. But obviously, Indiana was able to attack certain matchups, i.e., Brunson and Cat, which would be harder to do in Oklahoma because they don't have as many holes. As far as like, there's not really one guy
There's
you
not
can
anybody you
attack
can pick on in that team.
because they're all really kind of defensively
their help
sound.
defense is just really good too.
So I like all I have to say is like I'm not just gonna sit here and go, OKC's defense is is gonna suffocate this team. I don't know that because I thought the same thing was gonna happen with New York and Indiana was walking them out the building. So
sure,
I'm very curious to see how it's gonna play out.
My only pushback against that is that I believe I'm quoting this correctly. If not the best, they were one of the best transition defenses this year. So that's the only thing I can think for Pacers wise. It's just going to be harder than I think any matchup they've had so far, like to just get buckets. Because I do think like Oklahoma City's defense it's not going to be remembered as one of the greatest ever unless they win, and even still, it's probably not by most people. But I will say like it's going to be up there in terms of like better defenses to play throughout a playoffs stretch and win a title. But before we get into any more about the Thunder and Knicks, I want to sidetrack real fast. Thunder and Pacers to the losing teams.
Okay.
So I think we talked before the series. I really let my heart guide me. I really let you swing me on that. Not mad. Went down with the ship. That's okay. I'm a Wolves guy. I'm still a Wolves guy. That being said, we a lot of the talk before this series was the trade that they made in the offseason. What if they got to the finals? Like one of the best trades ever.
Yeah.
Now it's almost looked through like a completely different lens because who are the two people that really kind of like I don't want to say botched the series for each of those teams, but ended up being more of a problem than they were an aid was Cat and Randall.
Interesting.
Like Randall,
I disagree with the Cat thing.
Randall got benched.
Mm-hmm.
Cat, I don't like. He just presented the same problems he always has, which is when it gets later on in the series and you have a better defensive team focusing in on you, they pick on you endlessly. They get you into foul trouble. And I think for Cat, like the biggest thing is, I don't know if you saw the article too, it's a huge article that came out like right after the game about how a lot of the players were frustrated at his play as well. Mm-hmm. So like I agree, Cat can give you the offensive prowess, but at the end of the day, like what that series showed me is I don't know if you can have both him and Brunson on the court like that for long stretches of time in a playoff series because Brunson already gets picked on. You can't have Cat there to get picked on too. And I don't know if they can figure out something like the Wolves did where if you put like a Gobert or a Naz Reid next to him, maybe he can play a little bit better defense with that like system. I don't know. But it ends up being like now that these trades have kind of like taken place, now they're both out in this round. I mean, Thibodeau just got fired. The Wolves, I'm seeing rumor after rumor about who the hell they're trading. Mm-hmm. Gobert, seeing McDaniels, seeing Naz Reid, seeing all these type of things. But I don't know. Like, do you think these conference finals would have been any different had they just never traded?
No.
You think it ended up the same way?
Yeah.
Oklahoma Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Randall, and one of our good friends fell victim to it as well. The Randall bias was absolutely unhinged.
Oozing
after the Golden State series.
Yeah. Like, he had two really good playoff series.
Listen, he did. And I was like, listen, he's playing very well. Yeah. I said it.
We said going into the playoffs, this is going to be why they lose.
Yeah.
It's just Randall.
No, yeah, exactly. And he had two fantastic series. And I'm like, yeah, he's playing really, really well. But I was like, yeah, but just wait for the moment he turns back into Julius Randle. He's going to be the reason they get eliminated.
Yeah.
And he just came back to earth.
He did.
That's it.
He did.
Guys, he wasn't doing anything other than what we know Julius Randle would do. He was just being Julius Randle in that series.
Yeah, fair enough.
He was just being himself. And it's like, he was just playing otherworldly in those other two series. Yeah. And we're like, oh my gosh, Julius Randle is the next Michael Jordan. And it's like, okay, he just came back to earth.
Yeah.
Here we are. This was going to happen whenever it eventually did happen. And then Cat, I do get the whole like picking on him, of course. But where it gets a little weird is that New York actually played better with Brunson on the bench.
Yeah.
A lot of their like comebacks, like there's a few games that kind of came back and, we're in striking distance. And, so one of them, I think they were able to get over the hump. The other ones they weren't. But it was like Cat on the floor and Brunson on the bench.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where it's like, it gets a little weird. Not saying that, all right, New York, this means you go trade Brunson. No, it's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Not going to trade Brunson, but my next question. being that these teams did trade these two players and they both got eliminated, do you think both these teams
They trade back?
No, not end up trading away from both these players? Because Randall right now is in a pretty like good sign and trade area where he played well enough to where he can get a bigger contract.
Yeah,
could be a bigger fish to pull in somebody. And Cat right now, I'm seeing rumors every single day because of who's on the market with the Knicks and the fact that they just got rid of their coach. It's like they clearly didn't think that they were as close to a championship as the rest of us thought with Tibbs. Or, I mean, the rest of us didn't think that. But I guess just overall as a team. But, like, do they get rid of Cat for, like, Giannis? Do they get rid of Cat for KD? Same with the Wolves. Does Randall get ejected into the sun for other pieces back? Like, is that what we've come to now? That these two, like, is that the story that's playing out here?
Maybe. I mean, if New York traded Cat, would that be the worst thing in the world? Like, is that a bad look because they just got Cat? I mean, not really.
No, I
don't
don't
think
so.
so.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, they saw what they would get. They made it to the conference finals, saw that they didn't have enough gas with the roster they had, so they're just kind of making a change. I don't really think that changes much.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Minnesota. If they go and trade Randall, I don't think that is going to impact their initial trade. I think if you think about it, I know they didn't make the finals, but that trade was a win-win.
Yeah.
Both of them ended up going to the conference finals. Wolves had already been in the Western Conference Finals, so they didn't really get to that next step. But after losing a key piece, like they still made it back to where they were.
Yeah.
Knicks did make a little bit jump. They got one round further. So it's like that trade still is essentially like a win-win. It's not a loss-loss.
I agree.
It's like not like one of them, neither of them made the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like they both made it to the conference finals. So still think the trade's a win-win. Now, if they go and flip Cat for a bigger piece, like awesome. That's just good.
Yeah.
That's just good team management. But we'll see what kind of works out. I mean, I think moving on from Cat wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, especially if you can get somebody like a Giannis, of course, like a future Hall of Famer.
I mean, listen, if Giannis is the piece that you're firing your coach for and dangling Cat for, that's
and the whole firing Tibbs, like I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if they traded for Giannis, it didn't matter if they traded for Cat, it didn't matter if they traded for Michael Jordan. If they didn't make it to the finals, he was getting fired.
That's fair.
So it doesn't matter. It's not like Cat got him fired. It's like no.
I think that's getting lost in the narrative over the past 24 hours.
Tibbs, how long has Tibbs been their coach?
I agree. We both said that going in. Like, I don't know if he's got it to bring him to like.
Dude, as soon as they lost, I texted in the group chat. I was like, Tibbs has got to go.
Yeah,
it's not like. It's nothing against Tibbs. I understand the Knicks made it to the conference finals for the first time in a long time. Yeah. I get it. I understand it. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
He's the coach that can bring you here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he can bring you here, which is like what he runs into with every single one of his teams.
For sure. He's a good coach, but it's like, and listen, I've been on the Tibbs train. I've had him as a coach. I completely understand. It's just the style of his coaching. I don't know if it's really harsh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously like he runs, people insane amount of minutes and whatnot. I don't know. I like that Knicks roster. I do. Yeah. I've been on record on saying I like that roster. That's why I think Tibbs had to go, so they can get a coach that can maybe dive a little bit into the roster. Maybe go pick up a piece or two they can get for super cheap.
Yeah.
That can kind of round out that bench. And then just play deeper into your bench. I don't think, Mikal, Josh, Brunson, all of them have to play 48 minutes every single game.
No, I completely agree. I don't even know if Josh needs to be a starter anymore, to be honest.
I think
in the playoffs,
good.
his 3-point percentage is a problem. People are putting their centers on him because they know he won't shoot.
I think he could be a starter. I don't think he needs to play 48 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think what he does bring to the table is not
I
unique, but very helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Him crushing the boards, him able to get in some action.
His hustle play for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he's completely useless.
No, I don't think so at all.
I just think he doesn't need to play that many minutes.
I agree. All right, let's get to the finals matchup. I do think this is probably actually the first playoff series we've come to this entire playoffs where we're thoroughly going to be on opposite side of things.
Yeah.
Because I think for the most part, actually, we surprised ourselves because we've actually been agreeing a lot during these playoffs, which last year we didn't. I don't feel like at all. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I just don't see a path for the Pacers here. I've been trying to I've been trying to convince myself of like the transition thing and the mojo that they've got going on. And because I agree, like, listen, even when we were talking about last round and we picked the Knicks, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, listen, the Pacers just get you into this like cog, and as soon as it starts grinding the gears, like it's just impossible to get out of. I just don't think this Oklahoma City team is anything like these East teams that they've played. And so I don't know, man. I'm trying to find what they can pick at to like get into a favorable matchup where they can win 4 games against this Oklahoma City defense. Because like Dort's probably going to be face guarding Hallie, I'd assume, for most of the series. And then Siakam wise, like they just have so many bodies. Not even just as Siakam, they have so many bodies they can just throw at both of those players. Especially like with Halliburton, if you're not dealing with Dort, you're dealing with Caruso, whose like sole job is literally just going to be up in your grill the entire game. And you know, I just don't know. Like even Nembhard, I think Nembhard is going to play he's going to be not Nembhard. Nesmith is going to be huge in this series. Yeah, because he can play the defense necessary. That's going to help. The problem is, even if you're playing that on Shea so far this year has proven nothing's really bothering him, and also I think the refs are going to come into play. Whereas, like, how close are you actually going to be able to guard Shea? Like, I don't think Nesmith's going to be able to do this thing he just did on Brunson for 6 games.
Yeah,
like,
that'll be interesting.
I think he can do it. I just think he's going to get called for way more fouls.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
So I think that's honestly like another big reason I think the Pacers are at a disadvantage is because they're going to get into the same problem where like they're going to try and guard Oklahoma City the same way Oklahoma City is guarding them. And we're going to find out real quick whether the refs want to swallow their whistles for this series. If they don't, that's just not good in Indiana's favor. Yeah. So
I'd say my head where it's like, okay, like as someone who's watching basketball, who do I think is going to win? OKC. But my heart and why I'm going to go with the Pacers because I want to see the Pacers win, and I've picked against them. I think every single series.
That's fair.
And
we both did.
And they've proven that like.
Oh no, we picked them for the Bucks series.
Oh yeah, we picked them for the Bucks
series.
We didn't pick them. So it's like I've picked against them this whole time. It's like they've just proven every single time that they've got what it takes. So it's a heart thing. I'm going with the Pacers. So if someone says I'm taking OKC, I'm like, that makes total sense. Yeah. Someone goes Pacers, I'm like, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I think a couple things. One, I think it really is going to come down to the refs because as far as the New York series, like if the refs allow Nesmith to guard the way he guarded Shea, the way he guarded Brunson, then I think it's going to be really, really interesting because for the same reason that OKC is going to be, swallowing Hallie, swallowing Pascal, I think Pacers are going to do the same thing. Nesmith is no joke. I think he's comparable to any of the defensive players that are on OKC. I think Nembhard is a fantastic defender as well. So, the bodies that they're going to be able to throw at, Shea or SGA or even really outside of that, I mean, J-Dub is their second scorer.
I mean, you got J-Dub, you got Chet, and then on top of that, like, Caruso has been fantastic from 3 the entire playoffs.
Yeah, but he's been shooting wide open
the rest,
threes.
I know, but like, even if they're not, they just have so many people who can. They're like the Pacers. That's what I mean. Like
that's what I'm saying.
They both have so many players that can just like hit you for 10 points all of a sudden.
But that's what I'm saying is like for the same reasons that OKC is going to be, they're going to throw Lou Dort at Hallie, they're going to throw this person Caruso, all this. The Pacers get to throw Nesmith and Nembhard at SGA, so it's like it's the same thing. It's just going to be a matter of if the refs are blowing every single call for SGA. Obviously, that's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's much of a difference between Lou Dort and Caruso guarding Hallie and Pascal than it is Nesmith and Nembhard on SGA.
I disagree with that because they're both all defensive team players, and like Lou Dort was up for like defensive player of the year votes. So like I think I agree like Nesmith and Nembhard are great defenders. I'm not trying to knock anything from them. I don't think they're at the same level as the guards that are defending on OKC's part.
All right, one, I disagree. Two, I think the biggest thing is SJ has to have the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
Always has the ball in his hand. Well, not always, but has to have the ball in his hand in order for the offense to flow. The thing about Hallie is he doesn't need the ball, and he oftentimes passes up, especially if we're, running or whenever. He always advances the ball. So it's like, you can face guard him and you can try and speed him up, but if he doesn't have the ball, it doesn't really matter. So you can face guard him all you want, but the moment he gets the ball and he comes off a screen, it's like, and we've seen a lot this playoffs. These guys are fighting through screens. Nembhard has been one of the best in the playoffs fighting through screens. So it's like, I don't know. It gets weird. I'm really excited to see the first game to kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's like the reasons that you're giving the advantage to OKC, in my mind, it's like, okay, well, the Pacers can do the same thing. It's just we're gonna see if they can do it at the same level.
I just think that's the disconnect between our opinions. I think the Pacers do the same thing, but I don't think they do it at the same level. I think OKC does it at a much higher level than the Pacers do, and that's fine. We disagree on that topic.
Yeah.
As far as like SGA goes, if he wins this title, it's gonna be a really, really good season in comparison to like a lot of other like guards winning the MVP, winning the Finals MVP, probably just winning the Finals. But that's not even my point. Let's just say he wins.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible that like any of these players that have the one ring in this era through all the parity are gonna get like 3, 4? And like if so, like who do you think does that first between like, because if SGA wins, we'll have Joker, Giannis, SGA as like the 3 players who are probably widely going to be considered the top 3 players in the world. And they're all going to have one title, but like we know the Bucks aren't close. We know the Nuggets probably aren't really close. Thunder seem close right now, but we've said for the past 7 years, oh yeah, this team's going to just keep winning championships. And then like a new team arrives every year and the next team gets kicked out in the second round. So do you think, like, who do you think's going to win? Do you think we're just going to look back at this era and like these great players are only going to have one ring?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. Giannis is getting older, so it's like, I'm not saying he's going to retire next year or 2 years, but, he doesn't have as much in the tank as like SGA. Jokic is getting, he's kind of getting up there. Again, not saying he's going to retire next year or anything, but, window is closing. So I don't know. Like we're seeing teams that are like coming out the woodworks and, they almost look like OKC a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Houston, Detroit, like they just look, no, they're nowhere near ready, but neither was OKC a few years ago. And then they just kept building and building and whatnot, and look where they are now. So I don't know. I love it. I love that like every year we kind of come in, it's like, sure, the defending champs are going to be, maybe the favorites out the gate of the season. Yeah. But as we kind of go on, we're kind of seeing these teams emerge. Maybe Detroit, maybe Houston, they take another step in the right direction. And then we see like a random team, definitely not Washington, but let's say like another team, like definitely not the Magic. Just another team come out the woodworks like Houston and Detroit did this year, and they don't look ready, but give them a few years and they'll be there.
Listen, I got a real issue with this Detroit thing. It's starting to piss me off.
Oh, because it's just 1 year.
No, I just hate that like Detroit had one really great season, Kate had one really great season. And I get it. Like, nobody's ever going to pay attention to the Magic. Nobody's ever going to pay attention to Paolo. What are we doing?
What?
Like, just vaulting, like, this Detroit team up into this atmosphere. I think they're going to be great. I just don't understand. It's just the Magic fan base.
I think for me, your roster doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, right now it doesn't.
So that's why if you made some changes, then it's like I can immediately put them there. With your roster now, I just think there's no chance that you guys can compete with some of these teams.
I think we can compete with Detroit and Houston right now.
Sure, but that doesn't matter because they're not the upper echelon.
Yeah, but that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I just want when people mention, the Rockets and I want them to also throw in us because it's like I don't see much of a difference between what we're doing and what they're doing.
Because you can compete with them now, but their roster has the potential to kind of move up into the upper echelon. Yours, in my eyes, doesn't.
Can I tell you why I think ours absolutely does? Is because I think our 2 best players are better than any one of their 2 best players. And I would take my best player over both of their 2 best players. That may be unpopular.
Yeah, I don't.
But I just thoroughly think that I think they're all very different, which is cool.
For sure.
You got like Cade, who's just like an absolute facilitator. You got Amen, who's just an athletic defensive freak, who's not great offensively, and then you got Paolo, who's kind of just a bruising offensive player. So it's interesting. Like there's a balance there. Of course I'm a Magic fan. I'm going to take my guy. That's fine.
I think Houston not so much as far as star power. They're not comparable.
Deeper.
But they're a lot deeper. But for Detroit, I don't know. I think like obviously Cade had an incredible season, and so we'll see if he built on that or if that's a fluke. But I think it all just comes down to just your roster does not make sense to me, and I do not see a potential in your roster. Now, if you guys clean house, fix things, build around Paolo and Franz, and you build a completely different roster, then I think that changes a lot.
I don't think we need a completely different roster. I do agree. Listen, you're talking to the guy who said at the end of the year, get rid of all the guards on our team except for Suggs. Every single one of them.
And y'all need a center.
Eject
y'all
them
need
into the atmosphere.
Shooting guards, you need point guards. Basically everything except Paolo and Franz.
I'm hearing lots of rumors these days, bro. We are in the trade room of almost every friggin' free agent. Lots of them.
Y'all need to make moves because even y'all's window is good right now, but like
Oh, no. I mean, it's going to be fast approaching very quickly.
Because you're going to have to pay Franz. You're going to have to pay Melo.
Well, after Paolo gets signed this summer, I mean, our 3 players are signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be a lot of cap.
So it's actually not, though. That's the beauty of it because the cap's going up. It's not even really matter. It's actually good that we got Suggs and Franz signed a while ago. Anyways, off the Magic talk. Nobody wants to hear us talk about the Magic. Who'd you pick for the finals?
I'm going to go Pacers. And if they win it, it's got to be 6 or 7. I don't know. You put me down for either one. I'll probably do
6 would be at home. 7 would be in OKC.
Yeah.
We've seen how that has gone.
Yeah, we'll do 6 just because winning in OKC, I mean Denver got rolled in a game 7 in OKC. So I'll just go 6 just because it's more realistic.
Yeah.
But I want a long series just because I think this is going to be good basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
I think for those that are like, oh, this is a boring series, I think you don't enjoy watching like the art of basketball because like this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be exhilarating. And I just hope they're good games at the end of the day. If OKC wins a ring, if Indiana wins a ring, is it going to affect me? No, because I don't care. It's not Chicago.
Yeah.
So I genuinely don't care.
Yeah. I'll be happy for either one of these 2 teams winning a ring. I genuinely will. And I say this with all the respect in the world for the Indiana Pacers. I think every game is going to be like close. I don't think there might be like one OKC blowout game.
Yeah.
But I think every game is going to be really close. It's going to be a battle. But I see Oklahoma wrapping this up in 5 back at home. That's genuinely the only reason I probably didn't push it to 6. I don't think the Pacers can get 2 games in those first 4. I just don't think they can.
You don't think they win both at home?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I just think the Thunder, like the way I see the series going, I see the Thunder winning both these first 2 games, maybe even closely, because like the Pacers have just that habit of that first game just like coming in hot.
Mm-hmm.
But I see like Thunder win the first 2 games, maybe the third game they lose, like for the first game back in Indy for the finals, and then I think they'll figure some things out for Game 4. But Game 4 is gonna be the most interesting one to me because that seems to be where like a lot of where we actually see like this is how it's gonna be the rest of the series, depending on how long it is.
Yeah.
I think 3 is where the adjustments are made, but we even saw like last series in Game 3, the Wolves blew them out by 45 or something like that, and it just like didn't even matter. They came back next game ready and prepared. So we'll see. I agree. I do hope it's a long series because I think this is gonna be a very fun matchup. I just don't see it going.
It's good for basketball.
Yeah, it's good for basketball. All right, that's going to wrap us up here on the basketball talk. We'll be back once the finals are done.
Okay.
Playoffs flew by this year.
Yeah.
Really flew by. But hey, we're doing some exciting stuff on the house. Go check us out on YouTube. Go check out our video that we already posted. We are doing an NBA-style bracket for 16 very popular IPs.
Come on, son.
That we've come up with. So if you like basketball, we've got some more basketball to talk about, just not with real teams.
Yes.
But hey, sometimes that's more fun. So go check that video out on YouTube. Dropped last week. We're going to be dropping some more parts to it, obviously, once we get these votes in. But most importantly, we need y'all's help. So please go look at the rosters, go check out our socials, and vote on who you think's going to win, because Joe and I have no control over it. We're just going to be here commentating, recapping the series once they're done.
Call me Ernie Johnson.
It's going to be lots of fun. But we appreciate you guys for joining us around the house. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We will catch you next time. Peace.